The king is back, they say.
Absolutely, 100% love Conor McGregor.
All right. So before we get into some clips here, what is it that you like most about Conor McGregor and what he brought to the sport?
First off, I will say what I like about Conor McGregor is the fact that Conor McGregor is Irish. We share the same lineage, being an Irishman myself. And Conor McGregor is a trash talker, and everybody loves a trash talker. But everybody loves
Okay.
a trash talker that can back it up. And Conor McGregor has been able to back it
Oh,
up.
Mystic Mac.
Yeah, and not only that is his trash talking is at a whole nother level that is comical and brilliant and entertaining. Conor McGregor is a better entertainer than he's ever been a fighter. And he's one of the greatest fighters to ever be in the sport. But the fact that he can entertain outside the ring is what makes him phenomenal above all other fighters.
I agree 100%. You know, one of the best fighters in the UFC, in my opinion, has been John Jones. And you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't sell fights. He just goes out there and performs, but he gets trashed all the time, right? Conor McGregor is completely different on that regard. He goes out there, he sells the fight, and then delivers. If he says round two, it's round two. He knocks them out.
Absolutely. You're
So
100% correct.
let's get into what he has gone through and his legacy of fighting. He has fought at 145, I think even 135, 145, 185 at a catch weight. He's done the boxing with Floyd Mayweather, arguably one of the greatest featherweight or lightweight boxers of all time, undefeated. And Conor McGregor stood in there. I'm going to speak off topic here and say he went 8 or 9 rounds with him. It went to a decision. I can't remember how many rounds. Um, but the fact that Conor McGregor came from nothing, built his brand, built his legacy on himself, betting on himself, got to the point to where he is now. The UFC has tested him 5 times more than any other fighter in the USDA drug pool because, and we can show the clip if we can, of when he got his leg broke against Dustin Poirier. At this point, Herb Dean knows something's not right. Dustin Poirier knows something's not right. Conor McGregor goes down, and everybody knows in the audience, everywhere, everybody knows something's awry. He goes down, and Dustin Poirier finishes the fight, and yet uh, the UFC after the fight decides, okay, well, we got two choices here. We've got a fighter down, uh, but yet we don't want him to take any kind of drugs. Conor McGregor, which is the next clip we're going to show, talks about how they treated him after that fight.
All I cared about was, I'm airlifted out of this fucking arena with my leg hanging off. How am I going to walk again? A bar, do this, do that, do it. That's it. And that was that.
Because we've talked about this with...
If a doctor is prescribing certain medications and certain things to come back, otherwise you're not going to walk again, there's a chance, there's like a 20% chance that leg doesn't join together again. It's called a non-union, where the bone doesn't join, you're left on a wobble forever. That's what's at stake here. This fighting game, are you crazy? I have children to raise and play with. All I want to know is what's going to get me back to my feet, to be able to play with my children in a normal capacity again. And that was it. I'm a fighter for the promotion, and I call for proper care for the fighters who risk their life. That's it. That's what I call for.
So, I mean, you just
All
seen
right.
the clip there yourself.
So let's get into that. Okay. So he talks about he broke his leg and he's not worried about fighting again. He's worried about taking care of his family.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to
No
say one
different than
thing. I'm going to say one thing. The PEDs we know is an issue in all sports, but at the same time, we all know that athletes, especially men, will do whatever it takes to be able to perform at the top level to beat the opponent. But that aside, is when you are injured, PEDs are irrelevant if they heal your body. When you break a leg or you tear this or you destroy, that is not when you're taking them for a legitimate reason to get your body back. Now, you can say, oh, well, he just needs to heal, just like, well, no, his job is to be a professional athlete and be able to fight. So he needs to be able to heal where he can go back to do the job he was. And if that means taking performance enhancing drugs during that rehab stage to correct what damage was done because of the sport he plays, I'm perfectly 100% fine with that in any way, shape, or form.
well, if they say that's not okay, then you can't do that. But I think what the deeper meaning behind what he was saying is he didn't care about coming back to fight. He
Exactly.
wanted to provide for his family, and that meant hanging out with his kids, being able to run down the beach or run at the ball fields with his kids
Right.
that
And
we both do, right?
when you're injured in a sport and the doctor says, "Hey, we need to prescribe this drug or do this treatment because of the type of injury to be able to heal this injury," just because if you were to take that off label during the season and training and it would give you a performance edge does not negate the fact that it is needed to recoup from an actual injury. That is not the
Right.
same thing as taking that drug to have a performance enhancing abilities. It is
Yeah,
for an
he took
injury.
himself out of the drug pool because of that. He was like, "Look, that's fine. I'll take myself out of the drug pool. I'll retire. Whatever y'all need me to do." Excuse me. Just so that I can make sure that I rehab everything according to plan, so that I can have a quality of life with my kids.
And let's
I mean,
and
you
let's
can't
be
fault the guy for that.
and let's be honest here. You know, every athlete is going to do whether it be taking whey protein, whether it be taking creatine, they're going to take every enhancement they can get to make themselves perform at a higher level. Being a former athlete, especially as you start to get older, because as you start to get older, you hit that point where you start to gain strength and mass that you were not able to gain when you were younger. And but at the same time you start to slow down and lose that edge. It is a double-edged sword. You reach your peak for 1 to 2 years in your entire life, and that's it. And I think it's just incredibly insane when someone has an injury like that to think that there's you have to take medications and treatments off the table for them.
Well, so a lot of them do, right? And everybody's looking for that edge. No different than the PED scandal during MLB.
Well, you got
Jose
Barry
Canseco,
Bonds
Roger
and what
Clemens,
was it, Barry
Barry
Bonds?
Bonds,
Yep.
yeah, the whole list of them. And Clemens got the short end of the stick because he perjured himself on Congress to Congress,
Well,
right?
Jose
But
Canseco became the poster child for opening his mouth when your career is over and running the bus over everybody else because your career was over and you wanted to be famous still and couldn't handle it because it was fine when you were doing it, but now that you were washed up and your career was over, you want to run the bus over everybody else.
yep, exactly. So I think when a lot of athletes they go into these sports, whether it be boxing, UFC, soccer, baseball, football, what have you, they're looking for the latest edge, of course, right? And their doctors should be held liable on a lot of this, and I don't think they are. The doctor goes, "Oh yeah, this is perfectly legal," this that. Now, should it be on the fighter to uh, follow up and go, all right, well, this is on the approved list. This is not on the approved list. And that's where all the fighters go plausible deniability. I didn't know that was what they were putting in my body.
Two things. One, there was becoming from an athlete who played football for several years and was a bodybuilder for many, many years
You're an
until
athlete.
Well, my joints, you reach the age, your joints just cannot keep up. You
A
physically
100%.
cannot do it. And I will tell you, when I was younger, there was nothing that I would have put in my body that would have made me better that I would have said no to. When I was younger, if you'd have told me, hey, I can make you the greatest bodybuilder that ever lived, but you'll die at the age of 36, sign me up. Not a problem. I don't care. Get me the strongest, biggest, the best the world has ever seen. Because you know what? Because Arnold Schwarzenegger will live forever. People know who he is. Doesn't matter when he died. If he'd have died when he was 40, he would have been bigger than he is now, for that simple fact. James Dean died young.
Yeah.
The younger you die, the more people remember you. And the same thing with for athletes. It's that moment of fame that men chase. Women don't do it so much, but men do, and we will do and take anything. And so to say that
Not a legacy.
it's the doctor's fault when the doctor is a man 99% of the time giving these drugs to another man and they understand each other why this man wants to do it. I think that it's easy to blame the doctor, but it's basically the problem is just being a man wanting to be the best at whatever you do.
So do you think it's more so on the athlete saying, I didn't know what the doctor was putting in me? Or do you think it was the doctor going, yeah, I checked the rules. We're good on this?
There
Which
was
one do you
no
think?
there was no athlete in the world who doesn't know, professional athlete that knows what goes into his body any way, shape, or form. They know everything that goes into their body. Because if you're taking a pill, you know what's in that pill. If you're taking an injection, you know what's in that injection. No athlete turns a blind eye to what goes in their body in any way, shape, or form.
If you hire somebody, okay, let's just play devil's advocate here. If you hire somebody as your nutritionist or health guru, whatever, right?
Right.
You hire that person. You have complete trust that they're putting into your body what is within the rules of whatever sport you're in. And I guess that's where the plausible deniability comes in.
Well, hold on. If you go to the doctor and he pulls out a needle and says, "Hey, let me give you this injection," what do you say?
What's in it?
There you go. And you don't think someone who's
But
fine?
athletes don't think like that.
Oh, they
Athletes don't think
absolutely
like that,
do. I'm
man.
telling you, we know.
Uh,
We
we're
know
going to have to
everything.
disagree on this.